I started playing golf when I was 4. My grandparents my dad played, my grandparents played, and so I put the first golf club in my hand when I was 4. So it's in my blood. It's what I know best. It's practically all I know, and it's the greatest game that was ever played, and I owe it a lot. Started playing competitively at 10. Started traveling around playing competitively at 10, and fortunately enough, when I was 17 years old, got the opportunity to get a scholarship and go play in college, and chose MTSU amongst others, and left in 2000, got married. I left in July of 2000, got married a week later, and Lori and I began this journey of professional golf. I got to a point in 2002 where I was just dead broke. There was nothing else left to spend, and my wife very eloquently asked me one night if I'd ever thought about doing anything else, which I had not, I guess, at the time. But I got the opportunity to come back to MTSU in 2002 and go to work as the assistant golf coach under Johnny Moore, one of my mentors and my old coach when I was playing. So I did that. So I coached golf for 13 years at MTSU, and then had the opportunity last summer to move into administration full-time and have a little bigger influence, if you will, on the athletes and the department and athletics, and took that opportunity. So, as a coach, you have, influence over your 6 or 8, in my case, to as many as 100, if you're a football coach. But you're certainly an influencer on those lives. And so, albeit important to win tournaments and, leave your legacy in the annals of golf or whatnot, we worked every day to win golf tournaments, and that's what we're hired to do and what we get paid to do. And again, I was fortunate enough to win a bunch. On February 27th of 2016, I was flying on a private jet with some dear friends of mine to the race in Daytona, flying back, and at 30,000 feet, the door of the aircraft began to come open. There were 8 pins in the door, and they started to back themselves out, and the door was slowly coming open. So when the door comes open in the aircraft, obviously you start losing cabin pressure and the oxygen you need to breathe. The pilots turned around and already had their masks on, so I knew something was up, and we were in trouble. I knew that it was getting pretty grave if we didn't get down to 10,000 feet pretty quick, and so you have a lot of time to ponder life and what it's about and what we're here for. And so we fortunately got down to 10,000 feet about 6 or 7 minutes later, and it was like you turned the air conditioner on, the air then that you could breathe. And for me, I spent 16 years of my marriage and being a father chasing a lot and not what I should have been chasing. And I spent 16 years on the road, nearly, after all the things that I thought were important, were significant in life, and these things right here that you can actually fit in the palm of your hand that really don't amount to anything, but was able to get them. And I did it at the expense of my family. So when something like that happens to you, it will make you reevaluate, what it is that you're here for and you're supposed to be doing. And I made a lot of poor decisions in 16 years, mainly because I was making decisions predicated on how much more money I could make, how much more authority I could gain, how much more power I could get. And that's what I made every decision on for the length of my marriage and after my kids were born. And now you would think that after a situation like that, it would hit home hard enough to get your attention. Unfortunately, in my case, it didn't. Went on living life as usual after that. And on March the 8th of this year. So it's a couple weeks after that, I went in to have what everyone thought was a benign cyst that was pressing on a nerve in my face removed. It's an hour to hour and a half procedure. 6 hours later, I wake up looking at my surgeon, and he says, "Whit, you have cancer." Wednesday and Thursday of that week, just in about as miserable of an existence as a human can live. Mad, angry at everyone, because I didn't feel like I deserved that. And I had lost the one thing that is important as the air we breathe, and that's hope. Mine was gone. I was laying in bed there. Sleep is not something you do when you're trying to figure out. At that point, I didn't know what I had. I didn't know where I had it. I didn't know anything. I knew I had cancer. I assumed I was dead. I didn't, when someone tells you that and you don't know what's going on, your first assumption is I'm dead. I just physically cried out to God, just cried out as loud as, you can imagine, and almost yelling, and said, "This can't be it. This can't be the way this goes. This can't be the type of existence that we're put here to live." I'm not an early riser. I'm not that guy. And Friday morning at 5:30, as clear as I'm standing here talking to you, God woke me up and said, "Let's go for a walk." And in that hour to hour and a half that I walked around the neighborhood, the only thing he said Friday was, "I'm going to take you today from being a believer to a warrior." And I didn't know what that meant at the time. I didn't understand that. I got home, I went online and looked it up, the word warrior, to see what the actual definition of that was. And it said it's defined as a brave and experienced soldier. And at that point, it started to make a little more sense that this was my test, this was my trial, that he sent to do what it was that he wanted to do, and that was bring me closer to him, make me more like him. Saturday morning, almost the exact same time, he woke me up again, just as clearly as I'm sitting here with you, and said, "Let's go for a walk." I went out and spent another hour walking around, and this time we had a conversation, a clear conversation. And he said to me that this trial was about freedom, which confused me again. I didn't know why, what did I need freedom for? I mean, I was living a nice life. I had a good job and a nice house, and I had nice cars, and we had freedom. We had freedom to do what we wanted to do and raising my family. I mean, I don't know why I needed freedom all of a sudden. As I thought about it over the next, several hours and days, I started to again understand what this was about, and it was about freedom from all those things I had been chasing for 16 years. These things, these things that I can melt and they fit in the palm of my hand. They amount to basically nothing. He was showing me very clearly that there is a big difference in our life between what is important and what is significant. What I do for a living and what I did for a living is important. We help a lot of people. What that university stands for and what it does is very, very important. But it is in no way significant, and that's what he was teaching me. There's only 3 things that are significant in this world, and it's the same 3 things that came to my brain when I was in that airplane. It's the same 3 things that came to my mind when I woke up on that bed and I laid there in recovery knowing I had cancer. And that is your Savior, your family, and your influence, your encouragement, and what we're here for, and the relationships we have here. Saturday afternoon, was laying in the bed with my son. It was time for him to take a nap. I was laying there with him. just watching him sleep. We're laying in the bed face to face. He's asleep. I'm just like a lot of parents do, watching him sleep. And I started talking to God again. I started praying right there, watching him. And I made him a promise. I said, you'll never have to worry about where this guy or my daughter, my wife fit into my life, into my priorities ever again. And when the word again came out of my mouth, my son, who's dead asleep, took a huge deep breath, and he smiled from ear to ear. He heard every word. He heard every word. I'll never get it upside down. I'll never get those priorities upside down again. Whatever that takes, and that's what's gonna happen, to make sure that I'm being the father and the husband that God wants me to be. I was so hard-headed that God found a way to get my attention, and he did. He sends trials like that for very good reasons. They're not to punish you. He sends them to make you more like him. He sends you to bring you closer to him, to make you the man he wants you to be. You need someone around you that will tell you that you're headed in the wrong direction. You need someone to tell you that this is not good. You're spending too much time worrying about things that don't matter. You need to know that there's more out there than cars, money, and influence, prestige, fame, fortune, and all that stuff that the world tells you you have to be successful. It's baloney. You don't need any of that to be successful. I lived it for 16 years. I walked it. I have the stuff to prove it. But at the end of the day, this is just metal. These are just metal that no one cares about. 20 years, no one will know who won the OVC championship or who won the Sun Belt championship in 2004. No one will know. No one will care. But your influence with your children and your influence with your family will go on forever and ever. You know, my cancer, I was very fortunate, but I tell people that I'm in some way thankful for it because of what it brought to me. I got my life back. I got my family. And I'm thankful for those things.